It's a really beautiful day. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another session with me, your sister, friend, and host, Ruth Macochi. It's a great delight, a great honor of a lifetime to be with one of our esteemed African traditional rulers, His Royal Highness FORCHESIRI III from Menzam Division, Bamenda 1 Subdivision of Cameroon. So before we delve into the program for him to share his insights on cultural heritage and the values of African culture in diaspora while he visited his people in California and most parts of the United States as well. So we're just going to go right away into our guest of the day. Thank you so much, Your Highness, for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Thank you. May we get to meet you. Tell us about your lineage, your cultural values and heritage, and the people you represent in this community.
Thank you so much. I'm from FORCHESIRI, the third, the paramount ruler of the Bamenda people in the Bamenda 1 subdivision of Menzam Division in the Northwest region.
Yes.
And I must let you know that Bamenda is a community that hosts more than 95% of administrative services of the Northwest region.
Wow.
We have a population of over 75,000 inhabitants.
Wow.
And these inhabitants are spread within 52 quarters of Bamenda with quarter heads who are there to help us administer. Traditionally, we have a very dynamic population, people who are very hardworking and are very attached to their local customs, traditions, and heritage.
Wow, that's awesome, and I'm so glad that my husband is from the Bamenda community. So I am a daughter of the soil. I'm a daughter of the soil now. So let's talk about ancestral origin and identity. Your Highness, the Bamenda community has been a people of a rich history, deeply rooted in ancestral origins. So how do you see the connection between the Bamenda people of Cameroon and those in diaspora, particularly here in the United States? How can the community abroad maintain and strengthen their cultural identity? You know, most families keep moving day after day into the United States. They give birth to some children here who have never even been to Cameroon. So how do these parents help strengthen cultural identity in their homes here in the United States and to make sure that these children keep on with the cultural values?
You know, one thing that's very important to us traditional institutions is the fact that you must be able to know your identity.
Oh, yes.
Where you come from, because if you don't know where you come from, obviously you don't know where you're going to. And permit me use this opportunity to give you a brief account of the Bamenda history, especially the migratory history of the Bamenda people. We actually left from the Mandara Mountains in the far north region of Cameroon around the second half of the 1800s.
Yes.
And we had to move right down to the area of the Ngwakutunja, then settled in several localities.
Yes.
And finally we came to a place in Kwen, which is popularly known as Menda, around my phone Kwen, where we settled.
Yeah.
And later on moved to our present site, which is where you obviously call station. Right up. This activity was as a result of the fact that most of our people were blacksmiths and they wanted to move closer to the forest so they could have the natural resources to engage in their activity. So we've been in our present site for more than 300 years.
Wow.
And we're so lucky that the community keeps on growing at a progressive and at a geometry rate. You have sons and daughters of Bamenda today who are spread all over the world, and most especially here in the United States of America. This is my very first time of visiting the people here 4 years ago after I came to the throne.
Yes.
And indeed, it has been an opportunity to meet the people, commune with them, get to know them, get to understand what they are all engaged in, and then encourage them in the different activities that they are carrying out here. And one thing I realized here, it's their very strong attachment to customs, local heritage and traditions of the Bamenda people, which today constitutes a bedrock for every development that we seek in Bamenda.
Oh wow, that's amazing. That's really amazing. I wish we were all part of that ceremony of the enthronement.
It was a beautiful one.
Absolutely, by having your presence here, it's a great honor and delight to us. Thank you so much. I'm really just hoping that most of our diaspora community, the children growing up, when they get to watch this content, they will know at least a little bit of the background of where their parents came from, because we have His Royal Highness here with us to remind them that they are still children of the soil, and wherever we are, we should still uphold the values. He mentions of the value of hard work, which is so important, and so we must be the beacon light here in the diaspora by representing hard work as Bamendankwen people. All right, so let's talk about cultural preservation. What are some of the key cultural practices and traditions of the Bamendankwen community that you believe are crucial to preserve? How can the younger generation, especially those here in the United States, be encouraged to learn and uphold all these traditional values? Because sometimes we come into your presence, we are wondering, how do we greet the king? How do we talk to the king? Okay, the king is eating. I learned that when the king is eating, you're not supposed to be around. Some of those cultural values, please, can you share with us so that we know every time we are going back home, these are the values to uphold?
So, in order to carry out this divine responsibility which the community and the ancestors of the Bamendankwen have bestowed on us, our vision of the community is centered on 4 main pillars, which the first one has to do with cultural preservation, how we continuously protect and promote, valorize the Bamendankwen customs and traditions. And I will let you know that for over 4 years we engage in actually seeing how we reform the traditional council of Bamendankwen that has a great responsibility to play as far as protecting and preserving the culture and customs of Bamendankwen is concerned. And in this light, this is an institution that helps to actually sensitize the people about local norms, traditions and culture, not just back home, but also ensuring that those in the diaspora are involved. And they do this in collaboration with the BAMETCA, which is the Bamendankwen Development and Cultural Association, where all our sons and daughters in the diaspora that belong to this organization, a local community organization, and through it they are able to exchange, learn about local practices. That's the first pillar for our development. And when you come to the second pillar, we have the aspects of empowering the younger generation, because we understand that the younger generation consists of, the next generation of leaders that we have in the community, and we have to ensure that to build a sustainable community, we must be able to empower them, not just with the culture and customs, traditions, but empower them educationally, empower them to be able to go out there, hunt for themselves, and then come back and develop their communities. On the third pillar, we focus more on how we bring people together to look at the same direction as far as development is concerned, mobilizing sons and daughters, galvanizing everyone towards local development back home, be it structural, be it cultural, socio-economic. Everybody has to look at the same direction. And on the last aspect, we've been engaging so much in seeing how we sensitize, preach love, preach peace, preach unity to our people, because these are core values that are embedded in our local customs and tradition. And there's no way in this generation that you build a sustainable community without these values of love, peace and unity. And it is based on these 4 different framework that I just mentioned, which we're struggling to see how we implant the vision for our community. And again, coming back to the idea of customs and tradition, your culture begins with your language. Being able to speak your language, that's where it begins. And we realize that for quite some time, most of our people, they've been in the diaspora, in Europe, in America, in Dubai and other countries. And it is surprising that, they have young kids today who cannot really express themselves in the language. And the first thing we had to do, in collaboration with the Development Association and the Traditional Council, was to get into a memorandum with CAPTA, which is actually to help us, develop an alphabet for the Bamendankwen language. So that at the end of the day, our people should not only be able to speak the language, but they are also able to read and write the Bamenakwe language. And those are things we are very focused on. And again, I came here and realized, despite the fact that most of our people have traveled here far away, they still remain true to the local customs. Manifestation, dancing, the food they eat, it still reflects the Bamenakwe
the clothes they wear.
So
I remember during my traditional wedding, like people from other countries who came in, they were like, oh my goodness, I never saw such a fabric. It's so beautiful. Like, Chief, you are so gorgeously dressed. And this is one aspect of our culture that I really love. Really love. Thank you so much. Your Highness, before we move away from cultural preservation, conferences have been going on, especially here in the US, where guest speakers have been invited, and some of them still have issues with some cultural values from Africa, and it's a blessing that we have you as an African traditional ruler to publicly address this. So when we hear the speakers, whenever they want to represent Africa, it's not in a light that really shows the beauty and perfection of Africans. They'll talk about cultures like female genital mutilation. They talk about forced marriages where young girls are being sent into early marriage. They talk about polygamy where men are encouraged to get as many wives as they want. They talk about the lack of education for girl children, that preferences for I want a male child to take over my heritage. They don't really see the perspective of the girl child being of value in community. So these are just some of the things amongst many others that they list, and it makes Africans out here sometimes feel bad, like this is not our true image. So is there a way that you can confirm to us if that is still a thing in the Bamenda community, in Cameroon, or in Africa as a whole?
Thank you so much for that question to clarify a whole lot of issues. On a daily basis, we watch on TV several of our brothers who are here in the US who are struggling to trace their roots and come back to Africa.
Yes.
I want to believe the first reason is because there's a change in mindset. They've come to know of the Africa which probably they never knew before. Africa today is not the continent that was known in the days of the slave trade.
Yes.
Africa today, and Cameroon in particular, is not that country or the continent that was known, for issues of female genital mutilation and all of that. It's true that some of these things may still occur, but at what level is it happening today? The aspects of globalization and urbanization today has also come to give a lot of knowledge to leaders, especially traditional leaders. More and more traditional leaders, traditional institutions are more enlightened. If you come to Bamenda today, you find it as a living reality. We have more and more women who become successors in families. Issues of female genital mutilation, you never hear of such issues in Bamenda. And just to let you know that I'm a worker under the civil administration, and I deal more with social works under the Ministry of Women Empowerment and the Family. And all of these issues, we gain a lot of knowledge, and we have to take it back to our communities. So there's a lot of change in mindset, a lot of sensitization is going on, and we think gradually a lot of things are falling in place. One thing we can tell our people here is that they should come home. They should come home and see for themselves, and experience for themselves. They should not just sit here, watch, the dark side of Africa that probably is shown on TV everywhere, and to give them bad information about Africa. They should come back home, come back to the villages, experience for themselves what is happening. And also, you have associations and forums through which traditional rulers are able to come together, exchange information, share ideas, most especially to be able to see how, they blend positive aspects of modernization with traditional aspects. Once that thick line is drawn and we can blend, I think you become a better leader, and you're able to work with your people towards a direction that is very comfortable to everyone, which I believe should be the direction of progress, the direction of advancement for communities, both socially, economically, culturally.
Wow, thank you so much, Your Highness, for that insight. So now we get to hear for ourselves. Many a times the media is painting a picture of Africa that is not the true image. And like His Royal Highness has been emphasizing, it is good for us to come back home, come back with the children. Let them see for themselves the beauty of this African heritage, the hard work, the necessity for education, globalization going on, and just the cultural values of respect. Because here in the Western world, it's something else. The values here are not like the values back in Africa that we can really indoctrinate our children to grow up with. So that was a very important point to know. So now let's go to promoting stability and unity. In today's globalized world, maintaining unity within communities, especially those spread across different continents, can be very challenging. What strategies do you recommend for fostering stability and unity among the Bamindangwen people here in diaspora and the United States, or just all those other countries that are struggling to keep the community of Bamindangwen? What strategies of unity and stability can they ensure they put in place so that all the people later, in those spots, can see the necessity for joining these associations that are coming up? I mean, so that we can always look back home to help develop, or just to share ideas on preserving the culture here in diaspora.
Thank you so much. One thing I've always stressed on in most of my outings has been the fact that we are more focused towards developing sustainable communities and villages, and there is no way we can achieve this without opening up our arms to our brothers and sister villages, so that we are able to share information, not just in development, not just in peace building, but also most especially in traditional administration. And there is no way we can do this without coming together, without collaboration, without belonging to forums that help us exchange, put voices together. If you come to Bamindangwen today, you realize we have the Development Association, the Banmeka, which is actually a forum where all sons and daughters of Bamindangwen who are based out of Bamindangwen have to belong. They have to make their own voices heard. They have to learn the customs and the tradition. And like I did mention, we're stored in our customs and tradition are values of peace, are values of love, are values of unity. Unity takes a center place because it's very difficult, for you to work single-handedly and develop a community. Everyone has to come on board. And it doesn't just end at home. We realize today we also have to go into a lot of diplomacy, reinforcing our diplomatic relations, not just with villages, but right up to the level of relations, building relations with other countries. It's very important. Network with individuals who can bring development back home. Put our voices together, see how we network, see how we present situations of our communities to organizations, individuals who have that heart to help, the community, and we see how we can build this community. So I think it's something we've been working on. It's a gradual process. We believe that we're going to get there with time.
Absolutely. Definitely it's a gradual process, and most importantly, we all here in diaspora, we have to put our hands together and collaborate with our traditional rulers so that we can make our community what we've always dreamt of. We can make it an example everywhere we go. Thank you so much, Your Royal Highness. So now let's talk about development and progress. Development is often seen as a balance between preserving cultural heritage and embracing modern progress. How can the Bamindangwen community achieve this balance, ensuring that progress does not come at the cost of losing cultural identity? If we want to bring progress, how can we still make sure that in the midst of bringing development and progress, we do not lose insight on identity, like prioritizing, because we need the money, we need the resources, then losing sight of that mutual respect, that mutual cultural value that we share?
It's very important when it comes to issues of preserving cultural identity, and how you accept development today. I must let you know, not every development is good. There's destructive development, that which comes to erode the norms or values of your culture and tradition is it's destructive. And we must be very aware of the fact that today the institutions are there to help us, be proactive, to be able to look at the type of development that is coming to our community. See how, we can limit certain development which is judged as destructive. Because, with the advent of globalization today, it's difficult to completely stop development. It's difficult. Because at some point, it comes with so much force that you cannot stop. But you can only struggle to put some barriers and limits. I think in so doing, it's going to help us preserve a lot of things. One of the things we are very, we take very important today in Bamenakwe is issues that center on land. Issues that center on land.
Yeah.
Behind land, there is so much that is attached to it. A people's culture and tradition, your heritage, where you were born.
Yes.
We have sons and daughters today in America and want to go back home. They're going there because they believe there's a land where their ancestors.
Yes.
And if you cannot manage this land judiciously, it's a problem. You pose a problem because the population will keep growing. There will be nowhere for these people to settle. It will become a big problem. And these are things we are becoming very watchful to. And, we host more than 90% of state services in the region. And we have to be very careful the way we go about everything. Because, the government's quest for land keeps increasing. But now we have a community that we have to protect. Where do we draw that line? So these are all things we need to, at some point, come to the table with different government institutions through the Ministry of Culture, explain some of these things to them at high level of government so they understand. Because issues of land are very, very important in every community. Once you lose the land, you lose the people, and there's no more culture, there's no more tradition. So there are things that we're very watchful about, and I'm glad that we have a traditional council today in Bamenakwe that is very sophisticated. They are doing their work as they're supposed to do it. They are dedicated towards preserving culture and tradition, towards protecting land in Bamenakwe for the future generation of Bamenakwe sons and daughters.
Very important. So future generation, people of future generation, people aspiring for future generation heritage. Yeah, our Royal Highness has been saying that there is land for you. So please come back home and see the beauty of home and see that you are always remembered and you are always catered for. Let's talk about sustainable future for the community. What role do you see the Bamendankwen diaspora, particularly in America, playing in the sustainable development of the community back in Cameroon, Your Highness? How can they contribute to both the preservation of culture and the socio-economic development of their homeland? How can we in diaspora put our hands together, not just by words of mouth, but actually saying these are resources that we are making available to help our land grow, to help Bamendankwen community stand out in Cameroon?
Yeah, the underlying factor here is the fact that there is no community in Africa today or in Cameroon that can achieve or attain the level of development that it wants to attain without the intervention and the impact of the diaspora. They have a great role to play in development.
Yes.
The diaspora consists of people with a very open mindset.
Oh, yes.
People who have so much exposure. People who have lived so much realities and experiences out here. And at some point, they need to come back, not only contributing financially, but to be able to share ideas with the rest of traditional stakeholders to better administer, to choose the right path of development for the community. And most importantly, we have individual sons and daughters as individuals who've caused a lot of change back home.
Wow.
Be it in the sector of education, be it in the sector of health. Because they are here in America, they have seen how the healthcare system works, and they want to get into their community. They're here in America, they've seen how the educational system works, and they want to come contribute. They see how administration works here, the big positive aspects of civil administration here, and they come to want to contribute, so we are able to get a blend of everything. You come to the Bamendankwe Funds Palace today, we have a general secretariat with a permanent secretary who is there to ensure that palace archives, they're well kept. You go to the village council, the chairman of the village council has a permanent office in the palace. President of the Quarter Association has a permanent office in the palace, just to ensure that we are able to get this blend and work for the preservation of our community, work for the preservation of our values. So it's something that is very important. And at a larger extent, at the level of Bameka, where most of our diaspora population belong, they are able to come up with projects, priority projects, and then they come into consultation with the traditional council. We are able to develop a project bank for the village where each year we are able to move into it. We pick priority projects which we think are most beneficial for the community, and we see how we come together as one man to realize those projects. I came to America. One of the projects we had is about portable water, and we had a convention in Minnesota, and we did raise some money which will come to help foster this initiative, working with local initiative quarters that have already initiated projects towards developing catchment areas in their quarters. We are able to support them. We are able to develop more boreholes for the community, so that I think at the end of the day it's about sustainability for community.
Yes. Wow, sustainability, very important, like Your Highness has explained to us. So in every form possible, you can always contribute to the development of our beloved community. Even in the media space, earlier on, His Royal Highness mentioned that sometimes people have a very dark view of African cultural values because of what they have watched on TV. So use your voice, do documentaries. People out here are willing to see these rich cultural values. So why not we represent the Bamendankwen community, the African community out here in the most respectable way that we can, by putting out the documentaries, putting out contents like this to actually expose the culture, expose the value, expose the heritage, to bring those grants, you know, those sponsorships. And people out there, he spoke about globalization. If we put out this positive image that we really have, they'll be interested to come into these communities and make sure that the healthcare systems are partnered with in order to bring development. You know, they'll make sure that the socio-economic stability is partnered with the educational platforms are given. So we need more globalization, more partnerships. And if you are in the media space, please, I encourage you to join me so that we can better represent our Bamendankwen community and African heritage out here in a more positive light that can bring about these partnerships that we are talking about for sustainability of our children and the future as a whole. So let's talk about intergenerational responsibility as we wrap up. So Your Highness, as a custodian of the Bamendankwen heritage, what message would you like to convey to the younger generation of Bamendankwen descendants living in America or the diaspora as a whole regarding their responsibility towards their ancestral land and people? These children who are growing up, how can they put out behaviors at school, back in their various streets and cities here, to make sure that they are really representing the light and the value of the Bamendankwen people? What would you have to tell the younger generation?
The first thing I notice here in America is that we have a youthful population.
Yes.
That is very, very dedicated towards development back home. They have a lot of potentials, they have a lot of capabilities. And one of my clarion call to the notables and elites who are here, the elders, has been to see how to work with these young people in supporting them so they find a reason to always come back home. And another issue is we have the very young ones who are still in primary school. We call on their parents to see how at least in a year these children come to visit home. They know where the roots are. They are able to trace their roots back to the families, back to the communities. Because like I keep saying, this is the next generation. And if we are not careful, these children have to stay here forever. They will lose track for everything back home. These are human resources we have out here. I most often say that our people are out here that have for greener pastures. When they must have toiled and toiled and toiled and have the harvest, they have to come back home and develop Africa. They have to come back home, develop our communities, develop Cameroon, and develop our villages. So that's the big message I'm giving them. And again, there is no way they all realize this without coming together. Because when they come together, there's so much that they can realize as a people. So we continuously encourage them, we support them. And you know, gone are those days when the traditional rulers just used to sit in the palace and then the children will come. Today we realize that for effective administration, at some point we have to go out there, see what they're doing, encourage them, appreciate them, the little that I do, and they will do more for community. So I think that's the change of mindset. Those are the different initiatives that are coming up today within traditional administration. And it is for the best interest of Cameroon. It is for the best interest of our villages and our palaces.
Wow. That's so powerful. Thank you, Your Highness, that you leave everything you're doing out of your busy schedule. You still make time to think about us here. You travel miles and miles to come see us and share this powerful message with us. We are so grateful. And finally, let's talk about the vision for the future. So looking ahead, Your Highness, what is your vision for Bamenda community, both in Cameroon and here in the diaspora? How can collaboration between those in the homeland and the diaspora lead to a brighter, more prosperous future for all Bamenda people?
It's very simple. We have to stay true to customs and tradition. No matter where we find ourselves, we need to come together, empower the young people. We need to come together, think towards development, think towards progress and transformation for community. And there's no way we can achieve this without the values of love, peace and unity, which are enshrined in our customs and traditions.
Values of love, peace and unity enshrined in our customs and tradition. And talking about peace, with the present situation in Cameroon, should that be a worry for those who want to bring the children back home, who want to come back home at least for the first time? How is the situation now in terms of peace and security?
You know, peace is something that cuts across.
Yes.
It's not an issue of just the traditional council. Everybody has to come on board. Be you a quarter head, be you a councillor of the traditional council, be you a Bamenda diaspora population, the elites, the notables. Everybody has to put their voices towards this path. Be it family heads, everybody must put their voices towards this path for us to achieve peace. Because without peace, there's nothing that we can achieve for community. And so it is very primordial for our development back home. I want to thank God that at least today, our people have seen the importance of peace, and we want to ensure that this can continue.
Absolutely. So it is very important for us to really ensure that peace continues, and this is what His Royal Majesty has been guiding us through, that we should make it a reality to come back home and to keep ourselves in the value and culture of our beloved Bamenda community and our African heritage. Your Majesty, thank you so much. Thank you for honoring us with your presence, for coming here, for sharing all these great insights, for being a blessing to us, for leaving these words that would transcend the heart of this generation to the future generation of our children here in the diaspora. And we pray that all these good values and virtues that you've shared with us today, as many of us as will get in contact with this, we would definitely pick them up as values to ensure that we put them in practice, bring the children back home, see how we can help support the development of our community back home, and be a beacon light here in diaspora. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being a part of this session today with His Royal Highness from the Bamenda community, an African traditional ruler who has been sharing great insights on the African cultural heritage and cultural values of the Bamenda people, not just in the homeland of Cameroon, but out here in diaspora. You see that he's a man full of wisdom, full of grace, full of integrity, well learned. So all those shackled mentality that we have about Africa not having a good education, no good health facilities, you see him, he's in good health, strong. And a man of nobility. We are so grateful to have had you here, Your Highness, and we pray that the good Lord who has brought you here safely will take you back safely for us. And will continue to have development in the community in Jesus' name. Amen. Any last words for the audience?
The pleasure is all mine. I think some other time when I stop over, it will give another moment again to, give more insights on our local customs, traditions, and, this exposure helps to give the information to our people so they can come back home and join us in developing communities.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Your Highness. We are so grateful. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Thank you, friends. Thank you, everyone who has been a part of this session with us. We hope you really enjoyed it. Ladies and gentlemen, His Royal Highness from the Bamenda community, Cameroon, and African heritage is all what he has been preaching here, and the values of development, peace, love, and all of that good stuff. Thank you for watching, and until next time, it's a bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Highness.
Hey friends, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you were really blessed. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on the post notification bell.
Also, do not forget to follow us on all social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.
We encourage you to share this video and bless others.
And oh yes, we encourage you to check out our other edifying videos on this platform to keep enjoying the moment.
Thank you so much for watching, and God bless you.